Catherine the Great was one of Russia's greatest rulers and also notable for her many lovers and the palaces she built for them. But first, let's start with her husband, Emperor Peter III, who she would later have killed after stealing his throne. Catherine's future father-in-law lost his duchy of Holstein-Gottorp for siding with his mother's native Sweden during the Great Northern War. He fled to Russia, where he married Grand Duchess Anna Petrovna, eldest daughter of Emperor Peter the Great and Empress Catherine I. This made their son Peter the only surviving descendant of both King Charles XI of Sweden and Emperor Peter the Great of Russia, making him heir to both thrones. The 1743 Treaty of Abo resolved the issue by allowing Peter to succeed in Russia while his father's cousin succeeded in Sweden. That same year, a plot by an Austrian to reinstate Emperor Ivan VI led to Empress Elizabeth abandoning her alliance with Austria and instead pursuing one with Sweden. To solidify the new alliance, Elizabeth's nephew and heir Peter was married to a niece of the new King of Sweden in 1745. Born Sophie of Anhalt-Zerbst, she adopted the name Catherine at her Orthodox baptism. They were given Oranienbaum Palace outside St. Petersburg as their summer residence, which is today a museum. In 1762, Peter III became Emperor of Russia, and his first act was to end the 7 Years' War with Russia's new ally Sweden. Russia had been fighting Peter's idol, Frederick the Great of Prussia, so Peter gave him all the conquered territories back. This obviously enraged the Russians, whose relatives had died fighting for that territory. Seizing on the opportunity, Catherine overthrew her husband in a coup and had him murdered at Ropsha Palace. But Peter was by no means Catherine's only lover. Throughout her life, she had affairs with numerous men. The first was Sergei Saltykov, who was rumored to be the real father of her son Paul. Her husband's murderer was the brother of her lover, Grigory Orlov, who had helped her take the throne. In 1764, she installed her former lover, Stanislaw Poniatowski, to the throne of Poland, and later partitioned that country with Austria and Prussia. In 1764, she established the Smolny Institute of Noble Maidens, the first state-financed higher education institution for women in all of Europe. She was a supporter of the Enlightenment and corresponded with Voltaire and Diderot. The love of Catherine's life was Gregory Potemkin, who led the army to victory in Crimea in 1783. She built Tauride Palace for him, which later became the seat of the first Russian parliament, the State Duma. Since 1991, it has housed the Interparliamentary Assembly of Member Nations of the Commonwealth of Independent States. Catherine's last lover, Platon Zupov, was perhaps the handsomest, but also the greediest. He was just 22 and she was well over 60. Though the affairs were fleeting, the palaces have lasted, such as Gatchina Palace, which she built for Orlov as a reward for helping her to take the throne from her husband. After his death, Catherine gave the palace to her son Paul, and his children Anna, future Queen of the Netherlands, and the future Tsar Nicholas I were both born here. In 1799, the palace hosted the weddings of Paul's daughters Elena and Alexandra to the hereditary Grand Duke of Mecklenburg-Schwerin and an Archduke of Austria, the only Habsburg-Romanov royal wedding. After the assassination of Emperor Alexander II in 1881, his son, Emperor Alexander III, moved his family into Gatchina Palace, believing it to be safer since it was the furthest palace from St. Petersburg. Their rooms are a museum today. After Catherine's death in 1796, her son Paul ransacked her rooms to destroy papers skipping him in the succession, and buried her next to his father, who she'd hated and had killed. Paul's first wife, Wilhelmina of Hesse-Darmstadt, was a sister of the future Queen of Prussia, cementing the alliance between these countries during the first partition of Poland. Paul was devastated when she died in childbirth, until he found out that she'd been having an affair with his best friend, Andrei Razumovsky. After 71 years of rule by women, Paul decreed that only males could inherit the Russian crown, and initiated strict rules limiting the family's marriages to only other royals, seeming to forget the fact that his own great-grandmother, Empress Catherine I, had been born a peasant. His policies expanded to nearly every aspect of Russian society, including proper dress enforced by a literal fashion police. Eventually, his erratic behavior caused a group of army officers, including the Zubov brothers, to break into his bedroom and strangle him to death. St. Michael's Castle, the site of the murder, is today a portrait gallery. Paul's other palace, Pavlosk, was built in 1782 near Tsarskoye Selo as a summer residence. It was inherited by Paul's youngest son Michael and then his grandson Constantine. Constantine's daughter, the future Queen Olga of Greece, was born here in 1851, and his granddaughter, Princess Tatiana, married Prince Constantine of Georgia here in 1911. Catherine the Great had difficult relationships with both her husband and son, and had a series of affairs. But unlike those fleeting relationships, the palaces she left for them have stood the test of time, and can still be visited as museums today just outside St. Petersburg.